on Coleman. Count on Coleman. If your world is looking strange, you can count on Coleman for change.
Hi, Baton Rouge, especially District 10, District 67, District 14, all of that. So, welcome back to the Coleman Media Center, where our mission is to educate people. And along those lines there, this afternoon, I have with me State Representative Terry Landry for District 67, Terry Landry Jr., State Representative for District 67. And so State Rep is, he's a part of 10, ladies and gentlemen, because, 10 and 67, and you know the senator was on earlier. And so I am just thrilled to have State Rep here with us this day. Tell us about the last legislative session. Tell us about, you may want to start out with a little bit about you and then about this last legislative session.
Okay, well, first let me say what an honor and pleasure it is to be here sitting with my councilwoman, the best councilwoman, Councilwoman Carolyn Coleman. I could not be more proud and happy to be on here with you today and just say thank you again, not only for what you do for me, but for District 10 and for this community, for these great citizens of Baton Rouge, and ultimately for the state of Louisiana. So for those of you who don't know, this is the hardest working woman in the city. I don't even want to say on the council, in the city. So thank you for having me. I think what a great platform you have here, and just proud to be on here with you to talk to the constituents of District 10, of District 67, as you said, of District 14. I would try to follow the great Senator Larry Seldis, who's a hard act to follow. But a little bit about myself: I am originally from Lafayette, Louisiana. Came here in 1999 to attend LSU, where I got my undergraduate degree, and then where I went on to Southern University Law Center, the Southern University Law Center, and met my lovely wife Valencia. We've been married for it'll be 14 years on October 1st, and we have 3 wonderful children. Kirsten, Langston, and Brennan, and so we live here in the downtown area. I'm also an attorney. My wife is an attorney, and I also have a master's in public administration from Southern University. And so for 16 years, I served as a lobbyist in some sort of capacity at the Capitol. Proud to do my last 7 years with the Southern Poverty Law Center, where I focused on civil rights and social justice, and then decided to take the leap of faith.
Wow.
And run for office, and thanks to this lady to my right, was successful. Got elected on May 3rd and then sworn in shortly thereafter. And so didn't have a whole lot of time in the legislature this past session, at least not as elected official. I was there already working, but as an elected official, got 3 weeks in and was able to participate, not able to sponsor any legislation, but definitely able to vote on some key pieces of legislation. In fact, my first day on the job, officially on the job, I told people I wasn't scared. And I told people that I wasn't here to shut up, sit down, and be quiet.
That's it.
And so I went to the microphone on a very important issue, which was the elimination of DEI. And so for those of you who may be aware, the Legislative Black Caucus members stood together in unity and spoke out against that bill. And so I had the privilege to stand along my colleagues and say why I believed that bill was unnecessary. It was divisive. It did not bring our communities together. And so we stood together in arms and spoke out against that. Unfortunately, our colleagues did not see it our way. But the Senate had enough wherewithal to say, we're not even going to hear this piece of legislation, and it was unsuccessful. So I was proud moment for me, first day in and ready to go to work. And that's the kind of legislator I want to be, not to sit on the sidelines and complain or just watch what's going on, but really be active and have a voice, which the people of District 67 elected me to do.
Yes, wow. Yes, indeed. And so, what about some of the legislation this past legislative time that would affect the people here in Baton Rouge?
Well, here in Baton Rouge directly, a few things happened, specifically, obviously, with the split of the school systems with St. George that was effectively passed in both the House and the Senate and was signed off by the governor. So the citizens of St. George, the newly created St. George, their children are now allowed to have their own school district, and if you are in that pool of attending the magnet schools within Baton Rouge, their children are allowed to stay until graduation to ensure that the kids are not moved and can remain in place. There was a big controversy on whether or not that should be approved. Again, I voted against it, not because of anything with the children of St. George or the citizens. I just felt that it was not the right time. We had just come off of a huge budget cut to the city of Baton Rouge because of the city, and it's like a bad divorce,
Yes,
right?
yes,
At one
yes.
point, we loved each other, and now we decided to go our separate ways, but the love is still there.
Yes.
It's just there's some wounds that haven't healed yet. And so I just felt it was time. We needed to let time for those wounds to heal because there was nothing that was needed immediate. We had to wait the 3-year time period for that to go into effect. But my colleagues saw otherwise, and so here we are. And we have to play the hand that we are dealt, right? It wasn't all doom and gloom. There was some great legislation that passed. Like I said, I wasn't able to sponsor, but I was able to co-sponsor a bill that I think is very important to our women in Baton Rouge and across the state, that if any woman who is on Medicaid can now receive doula services, thanks to Representative Dustin Miller out of Opelousas, who sponsored that piece of legislation. And that allows young women or women who are pregnant during their pregnancy and even afterwards to receive doula services. And we know that is so important because Louisiana has a high mortality rate, both for pregnant women and the infant. And so we hope that these services will now mitigate some of that and decrease those numbers, even with postpartum. It's unrecognizable. We are not familiar, especially in our community.
Yes,
And so
yes.
now these services are available, and Medicaid has to cover it. And so there are 3 postpartum visits that mothers are now receiving, as well as how to care for a baby. You know, there's no manuscript
That's
on how to be a
correct.
parent. There's no
That's
book.
correct.
And so our mothers are getting younger, unfortunately. But then also there's just the fact of life happening with
That's
the
correct.
economics and the economy happening. And so we believe that these services will help parents be better parents. And like I said, hopefully cut down on some of those mortality rates and diagnosis. So it's not all doom and gloom. We're trying to do some good things for the citizens of Baton Rouge and the
That
state.
is of utmost importance, and that is teaching parents about how to parent. You know, I tell folk all the time, I say the children are 1-year-old, the parent 2-year-old, and grandma 3-year-old. So we've got to take a proactive stance with helping parents just be good parents. Mm-hmm. I just don't know a parent who does not want to be the parent. They may not know how, but I just don't know a parent who doesn't want to be a good parent. And even when they see you model that with their children, you know, they've said to me, Councilwoman, I'm going to take you home with me because he does this and he does that. But we've just got to be in a posture of helping them become the parent that they need to be, and then just a little bit at a time, how to talk to them, how to hold them accountable, how to just, yes, give them when it's time to give, but hold back when it's time to do that. Just that good balance. And Absolutely. So I think that is of utmost importance, and that's great stuff there.
Yes. And then also we have strictly for Baton Rouge. Now you have the judicial legislation that came out. There were two huge pieces of legislation that will have direct impacts on Baton Rouge. Number one, the lowering the age of retirement in which a judge had to retire. We were trying to get it to be 75. It still remains at 70. Unfortunately, so we're going to lose some judges, some good judges across the state, simply because people feel that, after a certain age, the mind goes, right? But again, we're talking about guidance and wisdom and what we lose from the bench and being mentors as a judge to young attorneys throughout the process. And there are some outliers, right? Some people stay too long.
That's right.
But for the most part, I do believe that any elected official, including judges, usually know when it's time to go.
That's right.
And so I think that we have to be protective of our citizens and be mindful of what we're doing. And then obviously, the realignment is also going to have a huge impact on the city. We have a great city where we have a large number of African American judges, and so this realignment, in my opinion, seeks to change that. For whatever rhyme or reason the author says, but it will definitely have an impact on how African Americans are represented in the judiciary, specifically right here in Baton Rouge.
Yes. I'll just tell you, when we get to a point where we can appreciate each other, respect each other, and look beyond the color and what we are called and all of that, then we're going to get somewhere. We're going to really forge ahead. And the thing I love, though, is that the young people, they're seeing it. They are seeing the fact that they are not judging each other on some of the things that the older people are. So, that makes me wonder, I don't know. We've just got to understand that they're going to, I just believe they're going to have to shake it up, the young people, and that's what I'm waiting on and trusting, and the fact that they're going to shake it up and just look at some of these older folk, their parents, and just ask them, really, y'all, really? And then we'll be able to forge ahead and grow and go as all people together there. And so also there was this redistricting that's coming forward, and they can play with themselves and believe that they're doing this for some other reason. But really, when we talk about the demographics, the proof is in the pudding, and they're always talking about data. Data drives this, data drives that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah, so for those of you who may not be aware, Louisiana has a population of African Americans of about 33%. It's probably actually a little more than that, right? We know that the census, everybody doesn't always participate, but based on the most recent census data, it comes out to about 33%. And so in the congressional districts, we have 6 congressional districts throughout the state. And so unfortunately, for the longest time, Louisiana only had one minority majority district, right? And so if you do the math, right, we have 6 districts. We are represented by 33% African Americans. 6 divided by 3 equals 2. Meaning, in order to have fair representation, there should be 2 minority districts, not just 1. So for the longest time, it was 5-1. After 5 or 6 legislative sessions, federal judge Shelley Dick ordered the legislature at the time. I was not a part of the legislature, but I was in the fight with Southern Poverty Law Center, with Power Coalition, with Vote and other organizations, demanding for a second minority majority district. And after all that time, after those times, a year and a half worth of fighting, we got a second minority majority district. Congressman Cleo Fields, Congressman Cleo Fields, was elected unanimously and has been fighting for us ever since. And so now there is a lawsuit being filed, which is claiming somewhat reverse discrimination or reverse racism, saying that section or that particular map that got Congressman Fields elected is unconstitutional, and we should go back to a 5-1 ratio.
Wow.
Meaning that there would only be one minority majority district. And so that is happening. We are anticipating a special session happening in late October, maybe early November. And in the meantime, there will be a hearing at the United States Supreme Court on October 15th to determine whether or not that is unconstitutional. And people may think that only affects Louisiana. But when you have a ruling by the United States Supreme Court on one state, it will affect the majority of states, if not all the states, specifically southern states.
Yes.
That has a huge implication on how the Voting Rights Act, specifically Section 2, will be interpreted. And let me tell you, if the Supreme Court decides not to rule in favor that Louisiana deserves a second majority minority district, we're looking at a new Jim Crow in the South. We will revert back to where individuals' voting rights won't be so standard. Will not be. We're trying to go backwards. We're trying to restrict how individuals and the way individuals vote in this country. And so that will have huge implications for this nation. If we don't pay attention and watch what's going on, people often say, what is the point of voting? My vote doesn't matter. My response is, if it doesn't matter, why are they continuously trying to restrict and now take it away from you? Representation matters.
That is correct. Wow.
And so we have huge implications. We are going to need all hands on deck, from young to our veteran citizens. All people need to pay attention, because this will have huge implications for years to come. This is not a right now issue. This is the Plessy versus Ferguson of our time, and we have to really, really pay attention to it. So we're going to need everyone to show up at the Capitol and give their opinion as to why Louisiana why the citizens deserves equal representation in Congress, because it's going to be a trickle-down effect, because it's going to start with Congress, then we're going to come down to state maps. Right? Then we're going to go to city council maps.
Yes, indeed.
And before you're going to know it, we're going to be looking around and asking, where's our minority representation, if we're not careful and if we sit back and allow these issues to continue without our voices being heard. And the only way to have your voice being heard is to be able to show up. It's too easy. Everybody might not be able to make it to the Capitol. I understand that. People are working. But you can write in notes. You can write in letters. You can write in interest. All hearings are viewed live. They are available live. You can also go back and watch them, because they're archived since the 70s. So any hearing that happens at the Capitol, there's no reason for people not to be informed, because it's right there. You can watch live what's happening. You can watch how your representative or senator is voting on your behalf, because oftentimes we hear, well, this is what my constituents want. Well, have you talked to your constituents? Have you talked to all your constituents, not just the few that look like you and have the same mindset? And so I think what is fair is that the numbers show themselves, 33%. We deserve equal representation, and this is going to have a huge impact moving forward.
Yes, yes. And just all we want is everybody just to do the right thing. Just do the right thing. You're talking about 2 out of 6. You still have, still
the majority.
Still. So, just 2 out of 6. And so here it is, and we stand up and we pledge and we pray and we do all of that, but yet we just don't want to do the right thing. If Spike Lee hadn't said or didn't say anything else, he says, just do the right thing. And so I know that people have conscience. I know they have conscience. And so I am just going to wait and see and believe that they're going to vote their consciousness. And my desired prayer is that their consciousness is to just do the right thing, in order that Baton Rouge can thrive, that the state of Louisiana can thrive, that we can go forward, as opposed to backing up a train and turning it around.
Yes. We just put this in place 1.5 years ago, and now we're ready to change. We hadn't even seen what it looks like, what the implications, does it work? But like you said, we're not asking for anything that we don't deserve. We're just asking for what is rightfully ours. And so here we are, and we're going to move forward. We're going to do the fighting. You can believe that I know myself, Senator Selders, and other members of the Black Caucus are ready for the fight, but we're going to need the help of the citizens throughout the state to ensure that we do not go backwards.
And I'm going to ask that those that are not members of that Black Caucus, that you make a decision to just do the right thing and come on and join and just say no to this. And then we just go forward and just thrive, as we said. And voting, it is of utmost importance that everybody understand the importance of voting. You know, we're talking about, we don't have any business having to be in a posture of constantly saying, you gotta vote, you need to vote, get out there and vote. But here we are, and it is of utmost importance. You know, when we think about what our forefathers, what our ancestors went through for this right to vote. And we just need any and everybody who is of age to register and vote. That is of utmost importance.
Absolutely. And like you said, not just register. We have over 1 million Democratic voters, yet we only seeing a quarter of that actually go out and vote. I think in my election, only 11% showed up, which to me is unacceptable. I am definitely happy to be victorious, proud to serve the citizens of District 67, but we have to be more engaged. We have to know that representatives and senators are just that. We are public servants. City councilwomen are public servants. We work for you, and so it is our duty to represent you, but it's also your duty to pick who you want to represent you. How do you want that person to represent you? I tell often my constituents that I work for you.
Yes.
Right? And so if you hold me accountable,
yes,
tell me what you need, tell me what I can do to make your community, to make your life better here in Louisiana, because as you know, we are losing too many people to other states, and some of the rhetoric and some of the backlash that we're seeing, I think our young people are saying they've had enough. They want to see us be more progressive, and progressive is not a bad word. It just means that we are moving forward. We are not looking backwards and being regressive or going back to the old days. We want to be able to keep up with our neighboring states, with Texas, with California, with all of our states across the nation. We don't want to lose the talent because people feel that they are not welcome within their own state, their home state, which I know everyone loves. You can't get the food and and some of the other things, all the festival, the culture that we have here. You can't go to California and get that, you know. But unfortunately, they have the economic status. They are welcoming our children, our future, to their state, and they're getting the best and brightest. And so we have to do everything we can to ensure that our kids stay here, or there will be nothing left for them and for this state. And so it starts by finding that common ground. We have more in common. We are more alike than we think.
That's correct.
And that's kind of been, I'm old school, councilwoman. I've watched the Senator Cravens and even my father and back in the 90s and 2000s, how they did business, and they might not always agree. Right? Party wasn't a priority.
That's it.
It was a label. It was something that was part of what you believed in, but it wasn't who you were.
That's correct.
And so those folks were able to disagree in public, but then go out and have dinner and try to figure out where that middle ground can be, and where there's a win for Republicans and there's a win for Democrats both. It doesn't have to be either or.
That's correct.
And find that common ground. And so that's what I'm hoping to bring to the table, is to say, look, we got to come together and realize that we all want the same things. What citizen doesn't want equal representation? What citizen doesn't want a fair education, a good job, a safe place to live?
That's right. That's right.
No matter where you live, from Gardere to Riverbend to downtown, we all want the same thing.
Everybody want the same thing. Now that right there, Baton Rouge, District 10, that's a mouthful right there. Everybody wants the same thing. And we were at a meeting with our congressman the last Friday, and there was a discussion about the involvement of the younger population. They call them the millenniums, and and so and as I sat there and thought about, that's what we must do, and that is involve that group in this process and then keep them involved in the process. I spoke with a young lady today, just picking her brain, asking her about, where are you? Are you a registered voter? Yes, ma'am. Where do you vote? She told me, so that verified that she was a registered voter, Right. And so then I said, do you realize that within you are some answers that we need as a people, as elected officials, and she began nodding her head saying yes. But the deal is, we've got to embrace them and let them know what they have and what they can bring to the table. And then, because what they're doing is they're just leaning back. Oh, you don't think we know anything? So we're just going to lean back and let you all rock and roll, and we're just going to do our thing. That's not what we need. We must have them, and we have the young and the not so young with the transfer of how to do and what to do, and embracing each other and learning from each other and respecting each other. And so that's what we will be doing. Young people walk around with their phones all day, and the not so young walking around with their phones all day. So you can register to vote, but not only register, you must go vote, and you've got to take some folk with you. I'd like to challenge everybody out there, state rep, to when you go and vote, and we have an election coming up, take 10 persons. We have the judicial election coming up. Young people, go and vote and take 10 other persons with you, and you're going to feel real good about being a part of the process. And so that is of utmost importance to us.
Yes, we cannot move forward without the youth. They are the future.
They are.
And so sometimes as even, just being newly elected, we have to also just maintain that they don't want to be talked at or down to. They want to be involved. They want to be included. I've had some young folks that say, hey, look, it's not that we're apathetic. We're just uninspired.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so we want to make sure that we are inspiring our youth. That's how the motivation comes. And so we have to be willing to bring them into our spaces. We had a town hall meeting at Baton Rouge Community College a few weeks ago, and it was well attended. It was more than I anticipated. But the thing that I did notice was there were no college students.
No.
On a college campus.
On a college campus.
And so that's a little bit disheartening. We have to do a better job, like you said, of reaching them where they are. And right now, where they are is social media.
Yes.
And so I know, that takes some time to get used to how do we maneuver in that political realm on social media. But we just have to make that effort. But we also have to be inclusive of how we talk to our youth, the way we explain to them that, hey, this is going to be yours.
Yes.
And when it is their time, we have to be able to let go.
Wow.
I was, I'm 44 years old, and when I decided to run, somebody said, hey, you might want to wait your turn.
Yes.
And I said, well, how long should I wait? If I'm 44, and I've been in the legislature as a lobbyist and in the community for 16 years, how much longer should we wait? And that we have to change that mentality that no, there is no age limit. When it's time, it's time. And when you have a young leader, we have to be able to groom them and, like you said, mentor them.
Yes.
To bring them along, because we can't. This doesn't belong to us.
Not at all. That's it.
It's not ours. I just hold a position, right? It doesn't belong to me. It belongs to the people. And I think that the more engaging and the more involvement we have with our youth and explaining to them, like you just said, what our ancestors went through.
Yes.
And to be able to bridge that gap between the young and the old, I think the better this not only this state will be, but this country will be, because it's not just a Louisiana problem. It's not just a District 67 or District 10 problem.
Not at all.
Our youth are looking for inspiration. They're looking some people to gravitate towards, and we have to be that inspiration in order for them to get involved.
And we're going to do it.
Yes, ma'am.
We're going to do
ma'am.
it. Yes.
You talked about the recent election as well. I think it's important. People often say these local elections or small elections don't matter, right? But those are the elections that really affect you on a day-to-day.
That's correct.
And we can't afford to sit out on any election.
That's correct.
You know, I often tell my students, look, the sheriff is an elected position. The sheriff decides, is he going to arrest you?
That's correct.
Right? The district attorney is an elected position. From the sheriff to arresting you, the district attorney determines, are you going to be charged? Right?
Okay.
And what the charges are going to be. What extent of the law am I going to press charges on? What sentence am I going to ask the judge for? Then you have the judge, who's an elected official, and he determines whether or not sometimes you're found guilty or not guilty, and what that sentencing time is going to be. So everything is connected. We can't afford to sit back and say, well, I'm going to sit out this particular election because it's just a small election. It doesn't matter. Every election matters, and we have to be present for all of them.
And on that note, I believe that we have convinced the young people, the not so young people, that you're going to go out and you're going to vote. I don't care who's having a game. I don't care who's having a party. You're going to be a part of that early voting. Go on and do it. Get it out the way. And then you can go to the game. Then you can have the party. I believe that we've convinced them of that today.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I just want to say thank you, State Rep, for just stopping by, sharing. And so I want to say to you and to the folk out there, you can count on Coleman.
Oh, I know. And you know you can count on me. Anytime you call, I'm coming. You know that. So I thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure just to sit down and talk to you. And she's been a mentor to me. So I'm not speaking anything that I don't ask her. We all need mentors now, no matter how old we are. And so I'm just so appreciative of you. And thank you for allowing me to spend some time with you this evening.
And don't think that I have not learned from you.
I appreciate that.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, indeed.
Count on Coleman. Count on Coleman. If your world is looking strange, you can count on Coleman for change.